Leave your homeland and your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you." These words reverberated through the depths of my soul, a voice inaudible to human ears, yet more commanding than the roar of any storm. "I will make of you a great nation. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, and by you all the peoples of the earth will be blessed." The weight of these divine words marked the beginning of a journey unlike any other, a call so profound that it shook the very foundation of my existence. I am Abraham, though I was born Abram, in the city of Ur of the Chaldeans, a prosperous and bustling hub nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Mesopotamia. My father Terah was a man of renown, yet our lives adhered to the predictable rhythms of the seasons and the traditions of a polytheistic society. The call of the Lord was not merely a disruption, it was an awakening. It tore through the fabric of my ordinary life, introducing a promise as vast and mysterious as the heavens. "I will make of you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing." Genesis 12. Second, these words left me in awe. For how could someone like me, an ordinary mortal, be chosen for such a magnificent destiny? The promise loomed as immense and overwhelming as the countless stars that adorned the night sky under which I often stood, pondering. At the age of 75, I made the most defining choice of my life. I chose faith over fear, embracing a path I could neither predict nor fully comprehend. Little did I realize that this first step of obedience would set the course of a life filled with challenges, triumphs, and unparalleled blessings. I would live to see 178 years, becoming the patriarch of a great lineage. With hope in my heart and faith budding like the first green shoots of spring, I obeyed the Lord's call. I set out with my wife, Sarai, my nephew, Lot, and all our possessions, bound for the land of Canaan. Guided by the promise of the divine, we embarked on a journey of faith and hope. The journey itself was a test of endurance and trust. We traveled northwest through Haran, the weight of the unknown heavy upon us, until we finally arrived in Canaan. The land before us was one of rolling hills and fertile valleys, alive with potential yet unfamiliar in its customs and peoples. Life in Canaan was markedly different from the life we had known in Ur. There, fields of olive and fig trees stretched endlessly, filling the air with their sweet fragrance. Yet, despite its promise, the land was occupied by others, and the fulfillment of God's covenant felt distant and uncertain. As I traveled through the land, I arrived at Shechem, under the oak of Moresh, a place of deep significance. At that time the Canaanites owned the land, and it was there that the Lord appeared to me once again. He reassured me with his promise, "To your descendants I will give this land." In gratitude and reverence, I erected an altar to the Lord, consecrating the ground with my faith. Moving further, I pitched my tent in the hill country between Bethel and Ai. There, too, I built an altar, marking the land with acts of devotion and commitment to the God who had called me. But faith is not without its trials. Soon, severe famine swept through the land, rendering it inhospitable. I looked to the heavens, questioning, "Why have you brought us here?" In search of sustenance and safety, we journeyed to Egypt, a land of plenty. Yet this decision tested the very promise of God's provision. "Fear not, Abram," the Lord's assurance echoed in my heart. "I am your shield. Your reward will be very great." Genesis 15. Still, I grappled with fear. Aware of Sarai's beauty and the risks it posed to my life, I asked her to pose as my sister. Thus, I will be well treated for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. Upon our arrival in Egypt, Sarai's beauty captivated Pharaoh's court, and she was taken to his palace. In return, I was showered with wealth, sheep, cattle, camels. But the Lord's hand intervened. Plagues afflicted Pharaoh's household, and the truth of my deception came to light. Pharaoh confronted me. "Why did you say she was your sister? Take your wife and go." We left Egypt with more than we had brought, but also with a humbling lesson about God's unwavering protection. Our return to Canaan brought renewed purpose. We journeyed back to Bethel, to the very place where I had first built an altar. There I once again called upon the Lord, seeking His guidance and reaffirming my faith in His promise. However, the blessings of prosperity brought their own challenges. Lot and I found that the land could not sustain both our growing flocks and herds. Tensions arose between our herdsmen, threatening the harmony of our family. To preserve peace, I offered Lot the choice of land. "If you go left, I will go right. If you go right, I will go left." Lot chose the fertile Jordan Valley, settling near Sodom, a city infamous for its wickedness. I remained in Canaan, steadfast in my trust of the Lord's promise. After Lot's departure, the Lord appeared to me once more, reaffirming His covenant with a vision that spanned horizons. "Lift up your eyes and look to the north, south, east, and west. All the land you see, I will give to your descendants forever. I will make your descendants as numerous as the dust of the earth." Strengthened by His words, I continued to journey through the land, eventually settling in Hebron. There, I erected yet another altar, dedicating myself anew to the God of faithfulness. One bright afternoon, as I rested in the oak grove of Mamre, 3 men appeared near my tent. Their presence stirred within me an instinctive sense of reverence and hospitality. I hurried to greet them, bowing low and inviting them to rest. "Let me bring you water to wash your feet and bread to sustain you," I offered, eager to serve. They accepted, and I prepared a meal fit for honored guests. As we dined under the shade of the trees, one of them, bearing the weight of divine authority, spoke words that would change our lives forever. "By this time next year, Sarah will bear a son." Overhearing this, Sarah laughed inwardly, doubting her ability to conceive in her advanced years, but the Lord responded firmly. The departure of these men left me with a profound sense of purpose and awe. This was more than a journey of miles. It was a journey of faith, trust, and a growing understanding of the God who had called me. Every step I took, every altar I built, and every trial I faced became a testament to the boundless grace of the Lord who walked beside me. My deep concern for righteousness drove me to intercede with the Lord on behalf of Sodom, a city burdened by unimaginable wickedness. I pleaded with Him, reducing the number of righteous souls needed to spare the city from destruction to just 10. Patient and merciful, the Lord agreed to my request, promising not to destroy Sodom if even 10 righteous people could be found within its walls. It was a moment that underscored both His justice and His infinite compassion. That evening, as the 2 angels arrived in Sodom, my nephew Lot was seated at the city's entrance, a place of gathering and governance. Seeing the strangers approach, Lot immediately recognized their divine nature. Rising swiftly, he met them with respect and bowed low, a gesture of profound humility. Urgently, he invited them to his home, saying, "Please, come to your servant's house for the night. You can wash your feet and in the morning continue on your way." At first, the angels declined, expressing their intent to spend the night in the city square. Lot, however, was insistent. His heartfelt pleas and earnest hospitality eventually persuaded them, and they agreed to accompany him to his home. Once there, Lot wasted no time in preparing a meal for his honored guests. He baked unleavened bread, a simple yet symbolic offering, and served it to them. For a brief moment, peace reigned, and the household shared a meal together. Yet this tranquility was shattered as the men of Sodom, young and old alike, gathered outside Lot's house. their intentions dark and wicked. They demanded that Lot hand over his guests so they could satisfy their depraved desires. Lot, stepping outside and closing the door firmly behind him, confronted the mob. "Please, my brothers, do not commit such wickedness," he implored, his voice a mixture of desperation and courage. In a move that revealed both his sense of honor and the weight of the cultural values of the time, Lot even offered his 2 virgin daughters in place of his guests. It was a heart-wrenching decision, driven by his unwavering commitment, but the mob, consumed by their own evil, rejected his plea. They threatened Lot, vowing to treat him worse than they intended for his guests, and began forcing their way toward the door. At the critical moment, the angels intervened. Pulling Lot inside to safety, they struck the attackers with blindness, rendering them incapable of finding the door. The mob, now disoriented and defeated, scattered in confusion. The angels then revealed the gravity of their mission to Lot. The city of Sodom, along with Gomorrah, was to be destroyed due to its great wickedness. They urged Lot to gather his family and leave the city immediately, for the time of judgment was at hand. Lot hurried to warn his sons-in-law of the impending destruction, but they dismissed his words as a jest, blind to the looming disaster. As dawn approached, Lot hesitated, perhaps overwhelmed by the weight of leaving behind his home and everything he had known. Seeing his reluctance, the angels, in their mercy, took Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hand and led them out of the city. Once safe beyond the city limits, they commanded him to flee to the mountains and not to look back. Fearful of the journey's difficulty, Lot pleaded for permission to take refuge in a small nearby town, Zoar. The angels, accommodating his request, granted him and his family sanctuary there. As the sun rose and Lot reached Zoar, the Lord unleashed his judgment upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Fire and brimstone rained down from heaven, consuming the cities in a display of divine wrath and justice. Tragically, Lot's wife, unable to resist the pull of the past, disobeyed the command not to look back. Turning to gaze upon the destruction, she was transformed into a pillar of salt, a solemn testament to the consequences of disobedience. The next morning, I stood in the place where I had once pleaded with the Lord, watching in horror as smoke rose from the ruins. It was a grim reminder of the devastating consequences of sin and the unyielding justice of God. Yet, amid the calamity, the Lord remembered his promise to me and spared Lot, reaffirming his mercy and his commitment to those who walk in faith. From there, I journeyed to the Negev, eventually settling between Kadesh and Shur before making my way to Gerar. While staying in Gerar, as I had done before, I claimed Sarah to be my sister, fearing for my life because of her beauty. Hearing this, Abimelech, the king of Gerar, took Sarah into his palace. That very night, God intervened dramatically, appearing to Abimelech in a dream. He warned the king of the grave mistake he was about to make, for Sarah was my wife. Terrified by the vision, Abimelech defended his innocence before God, explaining that he had acted in good faith, relying on the information Sarah and I had provided. In his mercy, God acknowledged Abimelech's integrity, revealing that his intervention had prevented him from sinning. He commanded Abimelech to return Sarah to me and assured him that I, as a prophet, would intercede on his behalf. At first light, Abimelech summoned his servants and shared the dream, filling them with fear. He then called for me, confronting me with anguish and disbelief. "Why have you done this?" he asked. "Why would you bring such danger upon my kingdom?" I confessed my fear, explaining that I believed there was no fear of God in Gerar and that my life would be at risk because of Sarah. I admitted that while my claim that Sarah was my sister was partially true, she was my half-sister and also my wife. It was a strategy of protection we had agreed upon when we left our homeland. In an act of goodwill and restitution, Abimelech returned Sarah to me, compensating us generously with sheep, cattle, slaves, and handmaids. He even invited us to settle freely in his land. To restore Sarah's honor publicly, he gifted her 1,000 silver coins. Moved by these gestures, I prayed to God on Abimelech's behalf. The Lord, in his mercy, healed Abimelech, his family, and his female servants, allowing them to bear children once again. This episode, like so many others, was a profound reminder of God's mercy, faithfulness, and power to guide and protect those who place their trust in Him. The Lord visited Sarah and me in a miraculous and unimaginable way, fulfilling His promise in a manner that far surpassed even our greatest hopes and expectations. In our old age, when hope seemed like a distant dream, Sarah conceived and gave birth to a son, just as God had declared. This child was the embodiment of a promise that had defined our faith and our journey. When our son was born, I named him Isaac, faithfully obeying God's instructions and reflecting the joy and laughter that accompanied this incredible blessing. 8 days after his birth, I circumcised Isaac, continuing to follow the divine commands with unwavering devotion, a practice that signified our covenant with the Almighty. At that time, I was 100 years old, a living testament to God's boundless power, faithfulness, and ability to work miracles beyond human comprehension. Sarah, overwhelmed with joy, could scarcely contain her amazement. She exclaimed, "God has given me cause to laugh, and all who hear of it will laugh with me." This laughter was not born of disbelief, but of sheer wonder and delight at the fulfillment of a promise that had seemed impossible. The joy of holding Isaac in our arms, knowing he was the long-awaited child of promise, was a blessing we could have never imagined in our advanced years. It was a miracle that reaffirmed our faith in God's unwavering commitment to His word. The day Isaac was weaned marked another milestone in our journey, and to celebrate, I held a great feast. This was not just a family occasion, but a moment to honor God's faithfulness and to celebrate the new chapter unfolding in our lives. Yet, even amidst the joyous celebration, not everything within our family was harmonious. One day, Sarah observed Ishmael, the son of Hagar the Egyptian, mocking Isaac. Her concern for Isaac's future and his rightful place as the child of promise prompted her to approach me with an urgent request. She urged me to send Hagar and Ishmael away, unwilling for Ishmael to share in Isaac's inheritance. Her request weighed heavily on my heart. Ishmael was my son too, and the thought of sending him away brought me great sorrow. However, God reassured me with words that brought clarity and peace. "Do not grieve for the child or the bondwoman. Do as Sarah tells you, for it is through Isaac that your descendants will be recognized. But I will also make a nation of the son of the bondwoman, for he is your offspring." Trusting in God's promise and His plan for both Isaac and Ishmael, I prepared provisions for Hagar and Ishmael before seeing them off at dawn. As they wandered in the wilderness, their journey grew increasingly dire, and Hagar despaired, believing they would perish. Yet, in their moment of greatest need, God intervened. With compassion and assurance, He promised Hagar that Ishmael would not only survive but also thrive. He would grow to become a skilled archer, and his descendants would form a great nation. This moment was a profound reminder of God's ability to bring hope and life, even in the most desperate circumstances. During this period, Abimelech, the king of Gerar, and Phicol, the commander of his army, recognized God's favor upon my life. Seeing His blessing in all that I did, they sought a covenant of mutual loyalty with me. In return, I vowed to treat them with the same faithfulness they had shown me. Yet, despite our goodwill, tensions arose when Abimelech's servants usurped a well that my men had dug. Wells were precious sources of life in the arid land, and this dispute could have escalated. However, through respectful negotiations, we reached an agreement. Our alliance was sealed with the exchange of gifts and oaths at Beersheba, a place aptly named Well of the Oath. At Beersheba, I planted a tamarisk tree and called on the name of the Eternal Lord, establishing this location as a symbol of God's enduring faithfulness. It was a gesture of gratitude and devotion, a testament to the God who had guided and blessed me throughout my journey. My residence in the land of the Philistines became a lasting testimony to his unwavering commitment and grace. After these significant events, God tested me in a way that would challenge the very core of my faith and devotion. "Abraham," he called. Without hesitation, I answered, "Here I am," always ready to heed his voice. Then came the command that pierced my soul. "Take your only son, Isaac, whom you love dearly. Go to the region of Moriah and offer him as a burnt offering on a mountain that I will show you." The words struck at the heart of my fatherly love and tested every fiber of my being. Yet, my faith in God's wisdom remained steadfast, and at dawn I rose early, prepared my donkey, and set out with Isaac and 2 servants. I carried the wood for the sacrifice, while my heart bore the weight of the task ahead. On the 3rd day of our journey, I saw the destination from afar. Leaving the servants with the donkey, I assured them, "We will worship and then return," though my soul was heavy with anguish. Placing the wood on Isaac's shoulders, I carried the fire and knife myself, and we ascended the mountain in somber silence. Finally, Isaac broke the stillness, asking, "Father, where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Struggling to hold on to my faith, I replied, "God will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." Upon reaching the place God had chosen, I built an altar, carefully arranged the wood, and, with a heart weighed down by sorrow, bound Isaac and laid him upon the altar. As I stretched out my hand to take the knife, a voice called from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham!" Trembling, I responded, "Here I am." The angel of the Lord commanded me not to harm the boy, declaring that my fear of God had been proven by my willingness to offer my only son. Lifting my eyes, I saw a ram caught by its horns in a nearby thicket. Filled with overwhelming relief and gratitude, I took the ram and offered it in place of Isaac. I named the site, "The Lord Will Provide," a name that became a profound testimony to God's provision and faithfulness. The angel of the Lord blessed me again, reiterating the promise of countless descendants and immeasurable blessings for my obedience. With a heart full of awe and thankfulness, I returned to my servants, and together we journeyed back to Beersheba. There, I reflected deeply on the lessons of faith, trust, and God's unwavering commitment to his promises. As the years passed, my beloved Sarah, the cornerstone of my life, lived to the remarkable age of 127. Her death in Kiriath Arba, known today as Hebron, left a profound emptiness in my heart. I mourned her deeply, cherishing the love and partnership that had defined our extraordinary journey of faith and obedience to the Almighty. After leaving the place of Sarah's passing, a sense of sorrow and resolve filled my heart. My beloved Sarah, who had been my steadfast partner through trials and triumphs, deserved a resting place that reflected the honor and love she brought to my life. With this determination, I turned to the descendants of Heth, seeking their assistance. As a foreigner, without a single plot of land to my name, I stood among them, a stranger who could only hope for their understanding and kindness. With humility I addressed them, saying, "Although I am only a resident alien among you, I beg you to grant me a burial plot, so that I may lay my wife to rest." Their response was unexpected, yet profoundly moving, reflecting a deep respect and admiration for me that went beyond mere politeness. "Sir, you are a prince of God among us," they said with sincerity and honor. "Choose the finest of our graves to bury your wife. None of us will deny you her sepulchre for this purpose." Their words touched me deeply, a testament to the reputation God had granted me among these people. Moved by their generosity, I rose to express my gratitude, bowing before them as a gesture of respect for their magnanimity. Yet, my heart sought a lasting solution, one that would ensure this sacred act carried a deeper significance. I did not merely wish to borrow or receive the land as a gift. I sought to purchase it outright. This was not just about securing a place for Sarah's burial, but a symbolic act of faith, a tangible step toward fulfilling God's promise that one day this land would belong to my descendants. I requested their intercession with Ephron, son of Zohar, to buy the cave of Machpelah, located at the end of his field. Ephron, present among those gathered, responded with remarkable generosity. Before all the witnesses assembled, he declared, "I give it to you in the presence of my fellow citizens. Bury your wife." His offer was kind and selfless, yet I could not accept it without ensuring that the land was mine by rightful ownership. Insisting on paying its full value, I expressed my desire to formalize the transaction, securing the legitimacy of this sacred ground for generations to come. After some discussion, the terms were agreed upon, and thus the field of Ephron in Machpelah, along with the cave and all it contained, formally became my property. This transaction was witnessed by the leaders of the community, ensuring its permanence and legitimacy. In that holy place, I laid Sarah to rest. The field of Machpelah, opposite Mamre in Canaan, became more than just a burial ground. It was consecrated as a family tomb, a lasting testament to my journey of faith and my unwavering commitment to God's promises. This act was not merely about burying Sarah, but about anchoring my family's presence in the land God had promised to us. It marked a significant step forward in solidifying the covenant that one day this land would belong to my descendants. As the years passed, my heart sought solace amidst the emptiness left by Sarah's absence. In time, I found companionship and comfort in Keturah, a woman I married. Our union brought new blessings into my life, as Keturah bore me 6 sons: Zimran, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Through them my family expanded, fulfilling God's promise that my descendants would become as numerous as the stars in the sky. Jokshan, one of my sons, fathered Sheba and Dedan, extending the lineage that would carry God's blessings into the future. Despite the growing branches of my family, my focus remained on God's covenant. To Isaac, the son of the promise, the child Sarah and I had longed for and cherished, I bequeathed all my possessions, ensuring that he would carry forward the divine inheritance. For the sons I had with Keturah and Hagar, I provided generous gifts, mindful of their futures and seeking to preserve peace within my family. In obedience to God's plan, I sent them eastward to the eastern regions, away from Isaac. Though this decision was fraught with difficulty, I trusted in God's guidance, knowing that Isaac was the bearer of the divine promise. My life spanned 175 years, a journey filled with trials and triumphs, each moment shaped by my relationship with God and my dedication to His commands. When my time came, I passed peacefully, satisfied with the life I had lived. My legacy was not merely one of material wealth or earthly achievements, but of faith, obedience, and trust in the Almighty. As I was gathered to my ancestors, I left behind a family and a story that stood as a testament to God's faithfulness and the power of unwavering devotion. May my journey ignite a flame of inspiration within you, a reminder that even the most uncertain paths can lead to extraordinary blessings when guided by unwavering faith. From answering the divine call to laying the foundations of a sacred legacy, every step I took was illuminated by trust in God's promises and the profound assurance of His presence. If my story resonates with you, I encourage you to delve deeper into the legacy of my family. Witness the extraordinary tale of my grandson Jacob, whose life unfolded as a pivotal chapter in God's grand design, leading to the birth of the 12 tribes of Israel. Click on the video to uncover the next part of this incredible journey. If the story isn't available yet, subscribe to this channel so you won't miss it when it is. Walk boldly in faith, embrace the blessings of God's guidance, and remember, His promises are as steadfast and infinite as the stars in the sky. May His light lead and strengthen you as it did for me throughout my life. Dear brother, if you're going through a lot of troubles in life, we'd like to share with you some useful pieces of advice inspired by the content of this video. We hope these tips will be helpful to you. Embrace uncertainty with faith. Life often takes us down paths filled with uncertainty. Instead of resisting the unknown, trust in the process and have faith in your abilities and higher guidance. Just as Abraham embarked on a journey with no clear destination, embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and trust that clarity will come as you take the first step. Focus on your purpose. Like Abraham, who entrusted Isaac with the divine covenant, anchor your actions in a clear sense of purpose. Reflect on what truly matters to you and align your decisions with those values. When you act with intention, even the most daunting tasks become meaningful milestones in a greater journey. Sacrifice for the greater good. Sometimes life requires letting go of things or relationships to preserve peace or fulfill a higher calling. Like Abraham's decision to send his other sons away to preserve Isaac's covenant, recognize when sacrifices are necessary for long-term harmony and trust in the rewards of doing what's right. Find strength in faith during adversity. Adversity will come, but having faith can transform it from a source of despair into a stepping stone toward resilience. Trust that every hardship has a purpose, whether it's teaching you patience, strengthening your character, or preparing you for greater challenges ahead. Create a lasting legacy. Abraham's establishment of a family tomb symbolized his commitment to building a foundation for future generations. In your own life, focus on leaving behind something meaningful, whether it's through relationships, contributions to your community, or imparting wisdom to those who follow. Welcome new beginnings. Even after loss or hardship, like Abraham finding solace in Keturah after Sarah's passing, be open to new opportunities and relationships. Life is a continuous journey, and every ending opens the door to a new chapter filled with blessings and growth. Live with integrity and gratitude. Abraham insisted on purchasing the burial ground for Sarah, ensuring it was rightfully his. Always act with integrity, even when generosity is offered. A life grounded in gratitude and fairness creates respect and trust, both with others and within yourself. Recognize the power of forgiveness and reconciliation. The peace treaty between Abraham and Abimelech shows the importance of resolving conflicts with humility and respect. In your relationships, strive to foster reconciliation and mutual understanding, even when tensions arise. A spirit of forgiveness paves the way for enduring peace. Trust the timing of life. Sarah bore Isaac in her old age, a testament to the idea that blessings often come when we least expect them. Be patient with life's timing, and trust that what is meant for you will arrive when the moment is right. Rushing or forcing outcomes can lead to unnecessary stress. Live a life of faith and purpose. Abraham's journey teaches us that faith and purpose can guide us through even the most challenging times. Reflect daily on your actions, ensuring they align with your deeper calling. By living intentionally and with unwavering faith, you can create a life of fulfillment and lasting impact.